In this presentation, we will take a look at how to print and export reports to Excel within QuickBooks Online. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are in our test file, Greg's Design and Landscaping Services. We're going to go to the reports on the left side. Remember that you have to have a hamburger open in order to go to the reports on the left side. We're going to select those reports. We're going to take a look at our main reports, those being the financial statements, the balance sheet, and the income statement or profit and loss. Think about how to print those reports, items that will be used in any report, the printing, the exporting to Excel. So here we go to the balance sheet. We're going to have the balance sheet created here as of December 31st, 2018. We're not going to get into the formatting of the report. We'll talk about that one by one, report by report at a later time. At this time, we just want to note that the printing options and the exporting options, because those are things that are going to be necessary for just about any type of report. You'll note up top that we have the email. We can actually straight away email the report, which is nice. We've got the printing options, and then we have exporting options. Note the exporting options go into either Excel or a PDF file. Also note that there's multiple ways to export to the PDF file that can be useful. So if we go into the printing option, if we select the printing option, we have first the page orientation defaulting here to portrait or landscape. We then have the email option, the save as PDF, or the printing option. If we select the printing option, then of course it'll give us some options for the printer to where to we are going to print it. So here is the printer it's currently going to. Note that it is possible to have another printer that would be a PDF printer. I highly recommend having a PDF printer so that if you don't have those save as PDF options, or if there's a problem with them, often the case in not so much QuickBooks Online, but possibly some reports within QuickBooks Online and other software, you always have the option to be able to save as long as there's a printing option. And one of those is going to be the Qt PDF printer. So it's typically a free PDF printer, and it works by having the printing option and then just changing the printing setting to the Qt PDF printer. So we're just going to print it to a printer, but the printer is the Qt PDF printer rather than it printing actual paper. It's just going to make a PDF file in a print format. Really useful to have. So that's the way we're going to try to save most things, just because that way works no matter what other PDF type options are there, because the print option is often there more often than the PDF save as a PDF option. It's best just to be able to go to that print option with something like a PDF printer. You'll note we also have a few options down here. The pages options, which page do we want, how many copies do we want it to be in color or in black and white. We also have options related to the paper size, the quality, and these options related to fitting to a page and the scale, which can be helpful if the document is not fitting the way we want onto a particular page. The remedies for that will typically be, first, let's mess with the landscaping versus portrait and see if that will help us to fit on one page. If that does not help, then we'll go down here and try to fit to one page and see if we can adjust the scale of the document, of the form of the report, so that it will fit or in whatever format we would like to fit. Oftentimes that being, I'm not so worried about it being 2 pages long or more pages long, but if the columns don't fit on 1 page wide, that's typically a problem. So if that is the problem, then we want to see if we can go to landscape, if that's appropriate. If not, then we could try to adjust the scale. So if we go ahead and print this, then we're going to print this out, and it's going to print to the PDF printer. We're going to save this activity, so I'm going to put this on the desktop and just start to practice saving this information. We're going to save a few documents each time just to practice organizing those documents as well. As we do bookkeeping, any type of bookkeeping, if it's ourselves or somebody else, oftentimes just printing the reports, generating reports, and being able to give them to someone else, organizing them, is going to be a really important part of that activity. So we're going to put it into a folder called Get Great Guitars, or GGG, and then it's going to go into section 1 this time, and I'm just going to call it the balance sheet. balance sheet, and usually the date is often good to put there, and you may even want to put the date at the beginning, and think about how you're going to sort this information. If you have a lot of information in one area, you might want to sort it by date. You might want to sort it, of course, by client name, or by year, or you might want to put the year first, and then that'll sort it by year if you're going to have everything in one area. Just think about how you're going to sort things, because obviously over time it gets messy. You'll see, even if you print everything out in this course, it'll start to get messy over time, and organizing it is better done at the beginning. So we'll go ahead and save that. Here is our folder where we saved it to. So if we open up that folder, within that folder we have section 1, and then here is our PDF file. So if we were to open up the PDF file, then we have our balance sheet in PDF file format. Back to QuickBooks, going to go ahead and cancel this now. We'll close out of this. Let's try the exporting option now. We're going to say export to Excel. In order to do this, of course, you would need Excel on your system. We need to have Excel. The two softwares are going to work together. It's really great to be able to have this. These two options, what we're doing now, printing, exporting, often done in any kind of database program, not just QuickBooks database program, that anything that's going to have employee data, anything that's going to have customer data. Any business and almost any job will have some type of data entry they're going to have to do. So it's really important to be able to export, because we're able to sort things in different ways if we're able to export. Knowing Excel, being able to export just lists of data, really useful. So if we're able to export it to Excel, then it'll just generate the Excel report for us. I'm in Chrome, so it's going down here. Maybe in a separate section if you're in some other browser like Firefox or Internet Explorer. Here we have the information in Excel, and again, notice how nice it is to have here. We can adjust this information now if we need to in Excel. We can adjust the formatting in some way if necessary. If we go to the page layout options, this is the normal option. We can go to the page layout, the second option, and we can see how it fits on a page. See, the layout is how it's fitting on a page. Back to the normal view. We'll note that Excel is using formulas. So look, we can see the formula here is adding these cells up as we would expect for subtotals, which is nice. Doesn't use the sum function, which is kind of unusual, but it's nice that it adds those up for us and we can see what is going on with the formulas. We're going to go ahead and save this. We have a few options to save this as well. I'm going to go ahead and just go File, and we'll go to Save As. We'll save it as the Excel document. Notice that if you were to format it, of course, you could then print it too. So if you went to the print option, you wanted to print it as a PDF file, you can print it from here. If you thought that formatting it in Excel in some different way would be useful, you can put it in Excel and then save it as a PDF file from here and still have that PDF file format rather than an Excel document. And that's really helpful or easy to do if you have the cute PDF printer, again, just printing it as a PDF file. So we're going to go ahead and save as. We'll go to the browse. So we're going to browse. And then we'll go to the desktop. So we'll scroll up. We'll go to the desktop. And we're going to Get Great Guitars, GGG, section 1. And once again, we'll say it's the balance sheet. We want balance sheet 12.31.18. I'm using dots because we can't use dashes in Windows typically. And so there we have that. So now there's our two items that we have saved. Let's go back and do the same thing for the income statement now, just to get practice with that. We're going to go back to the reports. We're going to go to the income statement, profit and loss report. It's going to use the report that they give us here, which is 2018. So we'll keep that range and just practice the printing options. We're going to go with the printing as a PDF file and then the Excel file. So if we were to print, and we're going to print, keep the same options here, portrait option, and then go ahead and print. And then we're going to say the printer is going to be the Qt PDF printer. So that's the default now, which means it's going to save it as a PDF file. We'll say go ahead and print that item and print. So it's going right where we want it now. It's going on the desktop. It's going to the folder we would like. And we're going to call this, I'll just call it P and L. And it should be for the year ended 12/31/18. So it probably would be better to save for the year ended to have the beginning and end, but we'll keep it here. Then we'll go ahead and say save. So we have that information. Now we'll close this out. And let's go ahead and do that with Excel as well, just to practice that. So we'll go back up top and we're going to say that we want to export it to Excel. Opening up the Excel file. We're in we're in Google Chrome. If you were in Internet Explorer or some other browser, once again, it might look a little bit different. Here's our information set up in Excel, and then we could go ahead and save that. If we say File, Save As, and then browse that information. And we want to then go to the desktop. We're going to save it into GGG section 1 and save. So now we have that information. So if we go into our folder, then I'll go in from the start. We got Get Great Guitars, we've got section 1, and then we have our information here. I'm going to rename this one to the profit and loss. So I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to rename it. We're going to call it P and L 12/31/18. And then I'll click off of that. There we have it. So we can give this information to somebody. Note, as we organize this, the other thing we need to do is give it to somebody. How can we process this information? How can we give it to others? We saw that the report can be exported or emailed straight from QuickBooks, or we can attach these as emails. However, to attach this as an email, you would need to take all these reports and have 4 attachments. And if we have more than that attachments, it gets kind of tedious on an email. We don't want to overwhelm someone. The presentation is as valuable as the numbers a lot of times. So what we want to do is give it to someone in a format that's as easy as possible. One way we could do it, if we had to give all 4 of these to someone, like a supervisor or someone, we could go to the file before that and zip the file. Because note, I couldn't email this folder. I'd have to email 4 attached files. But if I right click on it and say send to a zipped file, then we can zip this entire zipped file. I can just attach that. It's got the same information in it if you go into it, but it will be zipped, and that compresses it. But more importantly, for us, for sending it, it allows us to send a file that's all put together so that they don't have a bunch of attachments hanging around. That's one way you can make it a little bit easier. Another way that you can make it a little bit easier possibly is to try to get all the reports in one file. So let's think about how to do that. If I was to open, say, another Excel sheet, so I'm going to first put it into Excel, and our strategy here is to say, well, I want to have multiple tabs and just have each report on a tab, and then we can just have one Excel file we can give to somebody. Well, we currently have 2 Excel files. How could we do that? Well, we could just copy and paste the Excel file. So if I was to say balance sheet, we're going to open up the balance sheet. Here's the balance sheet report. And then I'm just going to copy the entire thing by putting my cursor on, or you can hit Control A or put your cursor on this triangle up top. That'll highlight or select the entire sheet. So now I'm going to copy the entire sheet. So I'm just going to right click and copy that entire sheet worth of data. And then go into our other tab, our new worksheet. Make sure your cursor is in A1. Notice what will happen if it's not. If I'm anywhere else and I try to right click and paste, it's going to say I can't do that. There's not enough room because it's taking up the entire workbook, and pasting it here is not including these cells. So what we have to do is make sure you're in A1, right click and paste, and then it'll paste that entire sheet. So, and we can just rename this and probably abbreviate somehow a balance sheet, because we can only have so much information down here. So balance sheet would probably fit, but we may need to abbreviate, so we will do so. And then we can do the same for the income statement, so, or the profit and loss, whichever way we want to name it. So we can go back up top and say the income statement, I want to put this on a separate tab. So let's go back to our worksheet. We're going to say, here's our new worksheet. I only have 1 tab. To make a new one, we just select this little plus item, say plus, new tab, double click on it, the name. We're going to call it P and L, profit and loss. And then we'll go back over here and we'll look at the profit and loss, same thing. You can hit Control A, selects everything, or that little triangle up top selects everything. Right click on it, copy it, and then go back into our other worksheet, balance sheet, profit and loss, back into cell A1, right click and paste. So there we have that. So now we have these two sheets on one item here, on one Excel sheet. So if I was to save this, I can say File, Save As, put this in our folder, in our desktop, quick and section 1. And this one I'll just call Financial Statements because it has all of them. Financial Statements. And then 12.31.18, something like that. So now we can give just one document. However, we might not want to give an Excel sheet to somebody because maybe we would rather give a PDF file. So we can also use this now to make a PDF file that has everything in one document. So we could then go to the File tab, down to Print. And now using this cute PDF printer, it's going to print to the PDF file, which is what we want. Normally, it only prints whatever we are currently on. So we're currently on the balance sheet. And so that's all we see here. We don't see the income statement or profit and loss. It's on a different tab. But if we select this item down below, print active sheets, and we want to say we want to print the entire workbook. So now not just the sheet, but the entire workbook. We select that item, and now we've got the entire workbook. So now we can use this to make a PDF file that we can send. That's kind of more professional. We would want to give someone that they don't want to change the data, just a normal PDF file like a printed document. So we'll go ahead and say print that, and it'll print it as a PDF file as we saw from QuickBooks. And here's going to be our information. It's already going where we want it to, so that's nice. Financial statements, that's what we want. So we'll save that. And then if I close this back out, close this out, close this out, now we'll see in our document, GGG, we'll see we have section 1, and then we have the financial statements. So now we have the financial statements. If I select that item, this is in PDF format. And now instead of having two PDFs for the balance sheet and income statement, here's the balance sheet. If we scroll down, we'll have the income statement in the same document. So now to give this to someone, it's just one PDF file. This is one way that we can basically print a whole bunch of documents. Instead of having like 15 different attachments, we just put it all into one PDF file. We can use Excel to do that. We can use the Qt PDF printer to do that. You could do that not only with QuickBooks, with many other database programs. It's useful for just about every office job because you're going to use some type of database program, and almost all of them can export to Excel. Excel almost always has options, always does have options that you can format with that you can't do from the database program for many different reasons, probably just restrictions to access data and knowledge on how to do the right kind of formatting or queries and whatnot in a database program. If you have it in Excel, you've got some more options, and you can use it to then print better and format it, putting more information on one PDF file or in one document. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.